I normally tell people that today that all the professionals, the boomers who are retiring, have almost all of them have Gen Zs in their houses today.
As children.
Yeah, they have the Gen Zs in their houses today. And Gen Zs have this burning desire to take on to things. And today, we are going to look into a very confronting situation. Yes. How do you feel? Is our government intentionally stagnating the Gen Zs?
I believe they are, because if you look at even the government structure of the people that are there, the employees, people are supposed to work for us.
Yes.
The so-called ministers, parastatal chairmen and women, and there's a lot of deal making in the government. And the Gen Zs, the portion that Gen Z has in the government, or where at least there is hope that they are being, raised, to at least be somebody, is zero. I can't say there is something there. You understand? So I do believe the government is intentionally trying to divert all that, the kind of success that every human yearns for. They're trying to divert it away from the young people, because they know, they know we are industrious. I'm not a Gen Z, but at least I'm a millennial, but at least we are the closest generation to the Gen Z. But I know at least they're doing something to sabotage the Gen Z, because they know, they're aware these are industrious people. These are aggressive people. And these are people that if you point an opportunity to them, they will go at it full force. And the moment they go at it, a small advantage like this, they overturn everything. You can even be overthrown. So there's like a small fear making the government intentionally sabotage this generation that we call the Gen Z.
But so I was having a chit chat with one of these boomers, and they were like, you young people, you are doing these people in the face of 40s.
Boomers is after Gen
40s.
Z. Before millennials.
Before millennials.
Those who were born in 1960s.
Yes.
Okay.
80s. That lot. I was having a conversation with a chit chat with one of the people from that generation, and they were like, "You Gen Zs, you are doing better than us. You are driving better cars. You are having iPhone 16. As better cars in terms of what? The GLEs, the BMWs,
the Kenyan Prince type."
Yes. And I was like, that is just a small success rate. Where it becomes significant. Those are outliers when we talk about statistics. It becomes significant when we can quantify a success rate of maybe 7 out of 10. But looking at the big set of data that we have.
So wait, this guy you're chatting.
Yes.
He's saying that Gen Zs today are driving better cars.
Yes.
And so on and so forth.
Yes.
So what reason did he give you to come to that conclusion? Like, why?
He's just looking at it into what is on the streets. Is this somebody
like visual kind of a visual conclusion,
visual assertion?
But from that conversation, did you pick something like they believe the Gen Z know how to go and get it, or like
I doubt if he really felt jealous of the situation. But then keenly, from the way he held his quietness to the way he's processing the issue,
it's like he has been observing.
He's observing. It throws him into a deep sensation that there's a massive transformation. And these people, they could snatch away chances if given an opportunity.
True. That's true.
But situationally speaking, the Gen Zs are having the worst time of development of a generation when it comes to massive opportunities.
By worst time,
a worst time of creating a generation. When it comes to opportunities that easily create successes for people. For instance, when we talk about opportunity that easily create successes for people, one of them is an education. Today you find Gen Zs saying, creating a narrative that having a degree is not mandatory. I can do well without a degree. And you remember when we were in high school, we were reading this short story, The Mirror.
Books.
Short story, The Mirror. Do you remember the short story, The Mirror?
Which one is that?
Haruki Murakami.
How comes we were in the same school, but
it depends on how much you give.
No. Was that set book like that?
It was a short story in the set book when the sun goes down. Remember the sun goes down?
I remember the red one.
Yes, the red one. The red cover. The red bigger book.
So there was a story like that inside.
There was a story inside The Mirror. The Mirror had a story of
because I remember the topic when the sun goes down and other story.
Another story.
Oh yeah, nice.
There was a story about the Japanese transformation. They also had a similar situation of stagnation, where the youth decided they were not going to go to university. They would seek the manual jobs as a way to get away to meet their daily basic needs. So I remember this story, like from what I read from that story. There was one guy who became a night guard at a school, at a high school. So his daily job was to inspect, inspect different sections of the school. I believe if we look at Japan today, though I can't historically place it on when could this be in Japan's history. I don't know. It's after World War. I don't know. You know how Japan's history and World War II. So Japanese were not willing to go to school. It was a situation of no opportunities in professional development, no opportunities in even if you decided to build a career. I think historically we are at that moment where young people are saying they don't want to go even to school. They just want to start
straight away.
But look at the professions we have today. Do you feel like it's taking it takes an arm and a leg to get fully licensed to build a profession,
to be a fully fledged professional?
Look dissect into that.
It's true. Because you see, the moment you finish school, because I do tell people that graduation, many people think that graduation is more at the end to kind of suffering in life. But it is just the beginning. Because you will realize that the moment you go, that's part where you're jovial, you clear with the lecturer, those stubborn ones in school, like in campus. I believe everybody had passed that stage. But the moment you pass from there and now you come and face the real world, you know what happens? You come and realize that kumbe you need money for you to get money in a job. Because we thought that after that the degree is everything. If I got to table it down then in an interview, then that's everything. But then many graduates came to realize that for you to be a full professional, for you to be called engineer so and so or doctor so and so, there are a lot of certifications that will cost you money more than you think. Sometimes they will cost you money that is almost equivalent.
Money and sacrifice. If it doesn't take money, it's a sacrifice. It's a painful sacrifice.
If you do the math, this money is almost equivalent to half of the fee you pay, half of the school fee you paid in your entire institution. And then now you come and wonder that, all these monies, I would say they are paid to bodies, which are government bodies, to certify you as a professional. And you are, maybe you studied medicine, right? Or maybe let me use a relevant example like engineering, like I did. You see, there is this certificate they call the is it EBK? It's a body. EBK is a body.
You get a certificate licensing from the engineering.
From the engineering board. So for you to be called, they are phases. It's not that you pay once then you are called an engineer. After graduation, there is an amount. I think it's 12,000 or 8,000. You are called a graduate engineer. Immediately after campus. Graduate engineer. And then now the sacrifice comes in that you just don't get this certificate. You go and do some small course. And I think it's like an exam or something.
You have to take
a course actually. A small course. I don't know what they test because for me I shunned away from that. So you do this course, you are called a graduate engineer. You get that certificate. Then this certificate is renewed annually. You pay.
Why do they renew it annually?
I don't know. Because they're trying to tell you that your profession has expired by December 30th or 31st.
The profession is really expired.
It does it. So when you look at it, it is the government that is sabotaging young people or young graduates from even moving to the next level, because these are people that don't have experience in life. They're going to give out at some point at chasing these things, because somebody is going to say, in the village I have a home, I have a land. See, I just can't relax. Why do I need to pay 12,000 to get a graduate engineering certification? Then by December 31st, they want another money.
Before I make some money.
Then after some 5 years, I hear you upgrade that certificate until it gets to where now you are called an engineer. Now it has to be put somewhere next to you.
So it has become a subscription of revenue.
Exactly. And it is in levels. So let's say you remain a graduate engineer for like 5 years. That is like 12,000 times 5.
Then 5 years.
Then there's another level. Then leave alone that. You want to go and practice something outside there. Maybe you want to open a consultancy as an engineer. There is, I don't know, certificate of how do we call it? I forgot the name. You have to pay it aside. Then now these are the certifications for government business agency bodies that you have to pay. Then you realize that you'll use a lot of money you have all the certification. You do the math, you spend around 100,000 Kenya shillings on licensing alone. Yes. And this is like an illusion. It's an imaginary thing because I know I'm going to study it, right? Yes. I know what I studied in my head. Yes. Yeah? Yes. Then I have to pay a lot of things I put on the wall worth money that I could have used for a side hustle to make money. Yes. You understand? Yes. Buying all these certifications is not a guarantee.
And the revenues is not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee.
So that's why young people are quitting their careers early.
Yeah. And focusing on other things. Yeah. Especially because it's a trend now. Yeah. There are a lot of graduates that did big courses, big name courses, but then they came to realize that there's this notion that some specific courses you will not get jobs, like civil engineers. They believe the Chinese,
the notorious one, the actuarial science,
they believe the Chinese are the ones that are going to get this opportunity. Like there's that story around, it runs everywhere. So they tend to do things that give them money that require close to no money for you to get that money. You know, things like content creation. Things like maybe
for example, I put myself into their shoes and I reflect. For example, that moment you find somebody whose parents have absolved everything. They don't have anything more to give. So at that moment they're pushing you, they're asking you, what do you have for us? We've walked the past 844 system. That's the previous 844. Right now I understand we have the CBC. So if we work the 844 system with it, at this moment, we expect you to be an independent person, and try and already support us. So at that particular moment, this person is homeless. This person doesn't have a meal, doesn't have a place to put his head in the night. So it's an embarrassing situation. True. And how do you think about business licensing? For example, when young people try to do a business, let's take for example Nairobi as central business district. If somebody wants to start informally, maybe a small hotel somewhere
in town, you're saying
in town, out of a big building, maybe you find these structures that have been built, temporary structures. I hear they're a target for the Kanjo Askaris, enforcement officers. As I read somewhere that somebody was saying he opened an hotel
inside town.
This small hotel, so they would operate it with a chef. A chef would come, and they would start running it early in the morning. So one day they opened an hotel. They haven't even cleaned anything. The inspection officers are there. They have to look at the cleanliness.
Their first meal.
They haven't even cleaned the floor. The inspection officers.
They're just starting. They haven't installed anything.
The inspection officers are there.
But how did they know they're there?
I don't know. It's mind blowing.
How did they know they're there in the first place?
Maybe it's a bad morning. Everybody's
because I do believe even in not in CBDs but in the small town centers, you open a business today, you just go and rent a shop. It will take around a week or a month for the Kanjos to come. For them to realize that unless they have a spy.
Maybe somebody does scouting in the evening.
I know they have a spy somewhere.
In the evening, somebody does a little bit of scouting.
For someone from the Kanjo side.
Similarly to wines and spirits mushrooming everywhere in our estate. You find people come, policemen come. You will find they'll come to check on that shop, and you wonder how did they know you?
But it happens.
So it's a man-to-man society in that aspect. Okay, I've been closely looking at the exportation opportunities. Opportunities to sell agro processed products, like exportation of avocado and exportation of services like labor, sending non-skilled labor to places like Dubai, places like Qatar. It's
this one's happened with the government
or private companies. Do you understand that
exporting labor to?
Do you understand that it's the private companies that do all the documentation and processing
for the export of goods, agricultural products? Understand, but for labor,
exactly.
Is this the typical agencies that people go to and register?
Yes, the typical agencies.
But I think is it really exportation or because I believe it's the government that can. I believe it's more like her recruitment agencies.
No, it's never the government. Okay, you see the government when they say, okay, just like somebody, I was reading some novel, then I came across a line that if somebody says that if you are in a situation and somebody says, I'm from the government and I'm from here to help you, just know you are being hoodwinked. Hoodwinked is the best word to deal with. So all those moves you see that CS Labor is making, the guy,
like the one that in KCC,
yeah, the mass recruitment,
they were recruiting people to
the mass recruitment.
Yeah.
It's a hidden agency.
So there's a private agency behind that.
Yeah, there's a private agency behind that comes to face that they're the ones recruiting.
So the recruitment agency is a private entity that approaches the government and uses the government's mandate.
Not, you may even find it's the CS
that owns it,
that has a share of it, and is using government facilities and equipment to recruit people easily to go for.
Of course, you know, if they come with the approach of the government, want to, of course, everybody will nobody will doubt.
Yeah,
very few will doubt.
Then they come and tell people this at the end, like you pay some little fee or you pay after you go to the other side. Yeah.
So they earn from this agency small fee that you pay once you successfully
make it on the other. They'll make their cut eventually. There's never anything for free.
About the money.
There's never anything for free for poor man.
True.
So okay, if you look at these sectors, they're massive. They could turn you into a millionaire. And the process for licensing, it's not that expensive. It's not that.
This is the process for licensing
for these exportation procedures. For example, if you want to export avocado, there's a single
license. Now, like as an individual.
Yeah, there's a single license for agro system. I don't forgotten the name. Yeah. It could cost you like just 100,000, 100K, 100 G's on that. But here is where the trouble comes. Even when you meet the requirements, when you can consolidate that money and do everything, that's where the game starts. They start playing picky on regulation. Where are you going to get your avocados? Or what?
So like it's intentional sabotage. Yeah?
It's intentional sabotage.
They humbly accepted you to pay some licenses.
Exactly.
Now they want to
If you look at that industry right now, it's a multi-millionaire industry. People who step into that industry ideally become millionaires. I know every day people ask, when you see a nice car and a big car, people ask, where did this guy make this money? Especially for the politicians. You think they're only doing the looting process. They are also stealing they're also like monopolizing the process of licensing. For example, mining. For example, even when you discover a quarry in your locality, even if you can afford an excavator for a day to start the mining process, the moment you start mining today, tomorrow people from Nema will be on the ground. You'll not even, I assure you won't even take even if it is ballast.
But they will just wait for you to license yourself.
Or Mara. You won't sell even a ton of it.
But let me ask you. You know, we were more like dissecting on how, because some of these businesses we are mentioning, the export business, the mining, for instance, do you realize that in your imagination there is no young person who can,
there are.
Okay, I know there are some who can do it.
Yes,
but there are some that when they assess that risk of going through, because right now we are close to Gen Z.
Yes,
and the moment that we know and we are aware, same as you, that you will get the license, but the moment you start doing the actual export business or the mining business, the government will come and start squandering your dreams. That license fee gone. You've bought excavators, you even bought equipment that are worth millions, but then when you want to begin, you will not be allowed to. Not because you are doing a wrong thing, but because some government politician somewhere wants the monopoly of doing that alone or in a small group of people. So that's why I was asking, as a young person, say, even somebody who graduated like 2-3 years ago, 1 year is a bit more off, but 2, 3, 4 years ago, and you sit down and say there are no jobs, but then I have this small asset I sell, I want to do this kind of business. Do you think there is a young person somewhere that can go to the extent of risking an asset to get the money to pay that license, then they begin, and then the sabotage comes in? So what becomes of such a young person?
There are. I know one person who is exporting horticultural product, flowers, purely flowers. A young person.
How old?
Almost within the age of 29 to 30.
That's not a Gen Z.
That's not a Gen Z. That's past a Gen Z. Exactly. But if you look at this situation, you'll compare the trouble that he went through. It's more of the trouble of what a Gen Z would go through. You are venturing into any industry, no name, no godfather. The only thing you have is a client who has assured you is going to pay for his.
But it works by the, you see.
Okay, his story went this way. He used a friend's company to make his first shipments.
So he was in the export business.
He used to work as an agent. He used to work as an agent. So he going into that community, learned how the process works, how the flower sorting works, the quality needed. So he used that knowledge, and then the experience of getting a first client. Yes.
But what, maybe with all that situation, maybe you just assure somebody somewhere, as a young person, that it can be done. You don't need to father because we don't want to make it. We don't want to make it an impossibility.
It can be done. Actually, I normally try to brainstorm. Why America is called the land of dreams. Is that what people say? Is that what's said in the?
It's called. There's a slang, the American dream.
The American dream,
where everybody wants to be.
The American dream. Living the American dream means starting from nowhere and getting to where you want.
Exactly. Which happens. It's evident.
Exactly. So this other end, our Kenyan dream is hit by people. We have cartels who want to monopolize. Okay, so let me beat you with the biggest fire about it. Okay, somebody was saying, somebody was bashing young people, how young people are lazy. That they can't even go sell kahawa on the street, kahawa and mandazi. Do you know what somebody told him? That even for you to sell kahawa and mandazi in CBD as a single person, first day, try it. Somebody will corner you. Your kahawa will be will be what? Will be taken away. Your mandazi will be taken down. You'll be asked, who gave you the opportunity to come and sell? It doesn't need licensing.
It doesn't.
But there is somebody on the watch. There is somebody that is his market. Similar to garbage collection. You know where to take garbage. You know you can hire a truck and collect garbage from apartments near you and take to the dumping site.
In Dandora.
In Dandora or wherever. But you get it that when you go to Dandora, you cannot dump.
Why?
There are cartels on the dumping ground.
You know that? They say this is our territory.
There are men wielding pangas there. They'll ask you, who's truck, which company is this? Yes. So that is why the field of garbage collection, selling freeway in the CBD.
And you see, these are things you can do.
These are things that you can do without schooling, basic.
And you find that they are all corners are closed.
They are bolts.
That's serious.
Yes.
That's serious.
That's expressively painful for you.
So you study, you get your degree, you go look for a job, you find a relative or politician in that position that they do not even qualify for.
Yes.
On the other hand, you are not learned. You didn't go to school. You go to an informal sector to look for a job. You get cartels.
Somebody made fun that today, even Juakalis, even Mjengo, there's a basis. You don't just come. You don't just show up. You don't just show up and get away with it on that day. Surprisingly.
That's serious, bro. Then where are we headed to the country? Like, what is the future of the young people now?
The future of this country, it needs to, the cartels need to be dismantled.
By who?
Painfully.
By who?
By getting a president.
A new president.
A clean hand president. Somebody who has never learned the game.
But you see, if we already have a cartel system, I believe the way cartels work, there's continuity of leadership. If you follow one cartel, maybe a leader, the topmost leader of the nation, for instance, if maybe in any way is also entertaining this kind of cartelism, they will always find another one, similar. Different names, different person, but similar.
No, I believe when we have some new energy, they could fill enough.
But who brings this?
I see new candidates. I see Maraga drumming his support. That's my guy. I'm gonna bet on that. No, Matiang'i.
Why?
Matiang'i made these billions from this same.
True.
These are his speed. They were on his speed dials. You can't tell me Matiang'i was operating in a vacuum. I know Ruto was on his speed dial. Uhuru was in his speed dial. So that if Matiang'i is asked to be the president, that tells you nothing.
So the only people who can put a clean-handed person fresh is the people of Kenya.
Yeah, the people
Through
of
voting.
Kenya. Through voting.
But then the voting is the voting is always sabotage every time.
No, our voters are the problem.
How? We can vote diligently and say, let's put so and so there.
But
then at the end of the day, so and so is not voting.
When you go to the ground and try to interact with people, they'll tell you, even if we elect Maraga, will you win? Will you win? They want to behave like they want to be electing the winner. And that winner is the thief. Like they're electing the winner. They're like, the William Ruto is still a powerful guy. He'll beat these people. Yeah.
They conclude the election in their head.
Yeah, they imagine they're not part of. They imagine they are participating, but they're not part of the election process.
They're already doubting the actual candidate who can actually.
Yeah, they're doubting the actual candidate
who can actually help.
Okay, so what is the other? There was a third way of how this government is. So we looked at how building professionalism has become, trying to get licenses for businesses. How else do you think this government is curtailing the progress of young people?
I think you remember when we were in high school,
Yes.
I believe we were more like if we compare our teachers, principals and us, they were more like our parents.
Yes.
And we were like their children.
Yes.
And there are certain instant gratifications that if you imply in the young people, they get excited, they forget about like they only given meat every time an event happens in school.
When you eat chicken.
Yeah, we eat chicken at school, or they slaughter a bull. Yeah. So I believe also if you check keenly, there's a pattern.
Yeah.
That whenever young people like you and I, we can talk. Sometimes we can have random discussions how the government is doing this, doing that. And then from out of nowhere, at least I don't know whether the government senses that there is almost going to be a revolution of the young people.
Yeah. That
they're saying that, why are you old guys there? We are here, your family there. And then the government just wakes up all of a sudden and say from today onwards, like this, the way President Ruto said that he's going to talk to Google and Facebook to at least to start putting monetization models for platforms, because he realized through his advisors, he realized that young people now, when they come from school, you see, they don't think that when we come from school we have to go to job. What they think, the frame of it is that they believe that every young person is a content creator. The notion of starting from somewhere through content, that is what they believe. They want to put all young people there. You tell me, because every president comes with job creation as an agenda, right? But then every time there's a vacancy, somewhere, an appointment vacancy or a vacancy that you can apply, you will never get that opportunity to the government for any young person. You will never get. So through the president's advisors, you do believe that once we come out of, it's like they are skipping the process of this graduating, then there's employment. Then they say that young people want to make Facebook monetization, want to bring it, Mara TikTok monetization, and so on and so forth. When you do this online and that, so they have categorized Gen Zs to the digital world, and then they do not know that among these Gen Zs there are thousands who graduate every year, and they have different ambitions. And out of the many, there are 5 that can really be good policymakers in this same government.
Exactly.
Or can really be good parastatal leaders or subordinates in this same government and help. So they've already curtailed our mind and put us like people who can, when we just see camera and phone, that is where we
belong.
So they're not convinced that we can get into an office, in the government office, and make something. They do believe that the young people are all they're trying is to take away the old people without an agenda. That is what they do believe. But they don't believe that the young people can work harmoniously with these other old people in a very good, effective manner. So I believe that is another way that the government is just trying to they just smell and sense our mood and say, let's talk about monetizing platforms. Let us open digital training slots and digital training hubs. Let us delegate the Ministry of ICT to launch a program and so on and so forth. Because even if you look at export of labor by the government, or rather these programs where maybe nurses go to Germany and so on and so forth, because there is no single pattern that I've seen where every year the government say they want to take 1 million nurses somewhere. It's always due to some emergency. When people complain of joblessness, the president flies to Germany and comes back and says, we are taking nurses there. You see, if there was a pattern where it is in the government agenda that every year 1 million nurses has to go, or every year 1 million doctors has to go, or there has been nothing like that. It is usually on emergency. on reflexes. So and you realize these people are being exported. They are young people, 99%. There's no old person there. So I believe they're treating the young people as an option. They just wait for you to complete.
They only deal with you when you are a prize.
Exactly.
When you don't have prize.
Exactly.
So young people, when you get to watch this show, it's your time to apprise. Don't wait for the careers to try and define a future. You either apprise doing on individual efforts or on group efforts.